Hello sourdough fans, and welcome to Sourdough 101. My name is Alyssa Bell. I am not a baking professional. I have no formal baking training, but I've been a home baker since I was a kid. I've always been intrigued by baking and always experimented at home. I have hundreds of hours of baking experience. I've made everything from sourdough bread to macarons to croissants and even more. I think it's a really enjoyable activity, and I think that it's a great stress reliever if you are open to approaching it in the right way. So I really want to share that with my friends and my family and with you. In this course, we're going to dive deep into the sourdough bread making process. Now, if you haven't made sourdough before, this is going to be an in-depth, step-by-step layout of the method of making sourdough bread. In this course, I assume that you already have a sourdough starter that you're using or that you've gotten from a friend. It's about a 2-week process, so I'm just throwing that out there now in case you were gung-ho to start right away with baking. Sourdough baking is such an amazing experience. It's a creative, experimental process that allows you to grow every time that you bake a new loaf of bread. There's been more successes than there have been failures, and honestly, at the end of the process, you get an amazing tasting loaf of bread no matter what it looks like. So that's the great thing about this process. It took me several months of just reading people's blogs, looking up different recipes, watching people's Instagram videos, and just getting as much information I could about every step of the process to kind of develop my routine. I've developed a routine that's pretty straightforward and that should work for most people. The great thing about making sourdough is that you don't have to stick to the process in the way that you would if you were making macarons or baking cakes. You can kind of fudge the steps a little bit and still get away with having a really great loaf of bread. So for instance, if your time restraints are all over the place and you miss some steps such as stretch and folds, it's not the end of the world. If you know what to look for, you can have a great tasting loaf of bread no matter what. I'm really excited for you to start this process. Please consider joining my Facebook group, the Sourdough Club, in order to kind of get some tips and tricks along the way, to post videos of your successes, to see other people's successes, and to get some inspiration through this process. Alright guys, so it's important that you have all of the proper equipment and materials before we jump in here to all of the baking goodness that's about to come. You need fresh flour, you are going to need an all-purpose, a whole wheat, and a bread flour of some sort. Now, I tend to go to the same brands over and over again, so I like to use King Arthur because it's a very trusty brand. And then I source my flour from Janie's Mill, which is located in the Midwest. And that's always been a really great, flavorful, delicious blend for me. I use the artisan blend. So if you don't quite have the flours that you need right away, go ahead and get those now because that is really important in the structure building, gluten building process of the bread. You really want to have something that has good protein content and good flavor. It's important that all of these ingredients are high quality because there's only 3 ingredients: flour, water, and salt. So you just consider that when you are making your flour purchase. You really want to prioritize fresh and high quality. Please take a look at the list of equipment and ingredients and make sure that you have everything here with you before you start this process. Again, if you don't have a starter already, please make sure that you acquire one before you jump in here because you won't be able to accomplish much without it. It's super easy to make on your own. It just takes a couple weeks. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. Happy baking!